An inmate at the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office. This call will be recorded and monitored. Your advance pay account balance is $41.20. For customer assistance, billing inquiries, or to block future calls, dial 1-877-650-4249. To hear the cost of this call, press 8 now. To accept this call, press 5 now. To decline this call, hang up. This call is subject to monitoring and recording. Do not use three-way or call waiting features during this call. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
All right, thank you, brother. One more thought about Moses. Here's a trick question. You can ask your pastor, see if he falls for it. Most pastors even answer this one wrong. Ask him the question, did Moses ever get to go into the promised land? And they will almost always say no, which is an incorrect answer. Moses did get to go into the promised land. Do you know the answer, Rudy?
Maybe when after he was dead? I don't know. Exactly. I would say he was not able to go. I thought he was denied because he struck the rock instead of speaking to it.
Correct, but 1,400 years later, when Jesus was on the Mount of Transfiguration with Peter and his disciples, Moses and Elijah appeared unto him.
Ah, there you go.
He did get to at least touch down one little spot. So
there you go.
That'll trick almost every pastor. Question.
I like that.
Yes, it was the breaking of the typology of Jesus being smitten only once. He will not, first time he came to be crucified, next time he's coming as king. They ain't going to hurt him this time.
Amen. All right, so very good. The next question also, were we done with that particular part of the question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, very good. The next question is, why did the devil want the dead body of Moses?
I have no clue. It talks about Michael and Satan and Lucifer arguing over the body of Moses. I have never understood why. Who would care? He's dead. Put him in the ground, put a stone on there, and leave him alone, I can't answer that. It's a strange one to me, but they did. They disputed over the body of Moses, and it says clearly at the end of Deuteronomy, when Moses died, that his body was never found. I mean, nobody ever found him. Otherwise, they would mark his grave, and maybe because it's on the wrong side of the river, and it would create more international problems between the Jews and the Arabs that already have problems, and they don't seem to bother them much for having Jews being on the west side of the Jordan River, but you get on the east side where Jordan is and Syria is, well, watch the news today. You'll see they're fighting over there quite a bit over that kind of stuff. So maybe if Moses' grave was over there, it'd create a more international incidents or something. Don't have an answer, okay?
And just a follow-up question for me, is this maybe you can help my memory, but is this the time where Archangel Michael said he refused to give a railing accusation against the devil and said, "The Lord rebuke you"? Was that when that happened?
Yeah, I believe it's in the book of Jude. I don't have my Bible in front of me, but if it's in, I think the whole story's in Jude and arguing about the body of Moses. Just get a concordance and look it up.
Okay.
It's easy to find, but yeah, I think that's where it is.
I just thought it was interesting that even the Archangel Michael refused to do a railing accusation against the devil, but yet when I read stories about people like Martin Luther, that he definitely didn't have a problem giving a railing accusation against the devil. So I've often wondered, is it correct or is it not correct, whether I follow Archangel Michael or, the example set by Martin Luther to do railing accusations against the devil. So maybe I just better stick with Archangel Michael and say, "The Lord rebuke you."
Yeah, the argument about the body of Moses and the railing accusation, that's all in the same passage. And like I said, I think it's in Jude.
Okay.
As far as Martin Luther, he did do some strange things. He said he threw an ink bottle at the devil one time when he was in the room bothering him.
Yeah.
I take the Proverbs approach, Proverbs 30. There are four things that are very little upon the earth, and they're very wise. The coney, which is kind of like a rabbit, he goes and hides in the rock. He doesn't try to fight the wolf. No, you go find you a rock and crawl in. Let the wolf, snap and snarl and slobber, but he can't reach you. The rock protects you, not your great might. I don't have anything to fight the devil with. I just run to Jesus. He's the Rock of Ages, and I hide in him. Same thing with this legal stuff and these people coming after me.
This call is from the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office.
With this whole federal case, all I know to do is run to Jesus and say, "Protect me. Daddy, they're after me.
Amen.
Hide in the rock.
Amen.
Go ahead.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Pastor Hovind. The next question has to deal with what does the Bible mean when it speaks of Urim and Thummim?
I'm going to take a wild guess and say there's a dozen references to the Urim and Thummim. It apparently is two stones that the high priest had. The one assumption is that there's some kind of gemstones that he wore around his neck. And there's been 1,000 theories about what that. I don't know the answer, but I'll tell you some of them. One is that when they asked a question to the Lord, one of those stones would glow or hum or vibrate. I mean, some people believe that. That sounds crazy, but that's what some people believe. The other is Moses or whoever the high priest would have these stones, and I think it's reasonably certain to say that they are indeed stones of some kind, rocks, maybe crystals, quartz, or who knows what. But they would change colors or do something to indicate the answer, kind of like that game people play where the light lights up if you get the right answer. I don't have any. I wish I did. If somebody knows for sure, let me know, but I know there's many theories on what the Urim and the Thummim is. That's something the high priest had. And I think if you read all the verses, you'll come to the conclusion, too, that it certainly is a physical object, objects, plural, and it almost certainly is stones, of gemstones or some kind of stones. The priest wore a breastplate around on his chest. It had 12 different gemstones in it, indicating the 12 tribes of Israel. Each of those is an interesting study. It probably also gives some of the characteristics of that particular tribe. Some stones are harder than others. Some are more useful than others. Some stones are real pretty, but they're basically useless. You can't do anything with it. It looks pretty. That's all. So, and there's some people like that too. They look really good, and they're totally
Yep.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. No, thank you, Pastor Hovind. The next question is, what are we to learn from the parables of the 10 virgins?
There is a very controversial answer to that. The book, The Rod, by Joey Faust, F-A-U-S-T, covers that topic. He was a pastor, and I don't know where he is now, but his book is titled The Rod, Will God Spare It? I read the book 4.5 times. It's 400 and some pages, and I called him, I talked to him at great length. His theory is that the 5 foolish virgins not only don't get to come into the wedding, they're cast into outer darkness where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. And this is going to set a lot of people off they're going to go ballistic when I say what I'm about to say. But that's okay, I'm used to that. Joey Faust, he writes the book, and I cannot refute it. I'm not saying I believe it, okay? I'm just saying I read it, I tried, I cannot refute what he says. He says, what happens to the people that go up to the marriage feast of the Lamb and are rejected? They're saved, but they don't get to go into the marriage. What happens? That, I think, certainly does happen at using the 10 virgins as an example. 5 were rejected. He said, you don't have, or the guy who came and didn't have a wedding garment. They said, bind him hand and foot and cast him into outer darkness, weeping and gnashing. Anyway, Joey says, and I'll blame it on him, those people, Christians, who are rejected, go to hell for the 1,000 years. And then get to come out. I read it. He's got over 1,000 verses in there in the book. I said, I don't want to believe this. I don't think it's true, but I couldn't prove it right or wrong in spite of reading the book 4.5 times and soaking my brain in it as best I knew how. So I'll leave. I think it's kingdombaptist.org or kingdombaptist.com. Hey, try that. See but it's Pastor Joey Faust. Tell him I said hi. Nice guy. Really brilliant man. But that's an extremely controversial topic and book, and boy, does he get blasted from every side. I think his own church finally kicked him out, and I like to listen to what a guy says, and if I can't prove it wrong scripturally, okay, well then, and I could not prove it right or wrong scripturally, but I tried, and I finally gave up. I said, I don't know, this is a weird doctrine. So that may answer the question. It may make it worse about the 5 foolish virgins. Certainly in the parable, they were not only excluded from the wedding, I don't know. I don't have my Bible in front of me. Do you have it there? Were they also told that they had to go where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth in that parable?
I would have to look it up, and I don't have it in front of me as well. Do we have the biblical chapter, and I can look it up?
Okay. Anyway, all right.
Yeah.
Next question.
Okay, all right. No, yeah, I would have to look it up. Okay, so it is kingdombaptist.org, by the way, where Joey Faust, that is his website for those that want to check it out. And I do have the book as well. Someone gave it to me. I probably made it about 20% the way through the book, and I plan on reading it as I have time. So thank you for that. That's very interesting stuff. And like you said, we need to be able to read and be open to anything that
This call is from the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office.
anything that's biblically sound. Amen. And all right, the next question, sir, is what is meant by casting lots?
I think most certainly casting lots is very similar to casting dice. If you want to get an answer, they would cast lots. Like the Roman soldiers cast lots for Jesus' clothes. To us, that sounds crazy. Why would you want a guy who's dying? Why would you want his clothes that probably have blood on them, etc.? But when you understand, making clothes today is pretty simple. You got giant machines that, cut the cotton and comb it out and get rid of the seeds and the cotton gin, and then the big, huge weaving machines. If you had to do every bit of that by hand, you got to make your thread, and then you got to weave it together. Man, a square yard of cloth would cost 1,000 times what it costs today, just because of the intensive labor required to do it. So up until really a few hundred years ago, just clothing was incredibly expensive. And so even a chunk of cloth, they would use it and reuse it, and, you didn't throw any cloth away. You'd save the rags and, fix the holes. Today you get a hole in your sock, you throw it away, and you get another pair. Well, that would not be the case even a few hundred years ago, just because of the great expense of producing cloth. So they cast lots for Jesus' clothes. They actually tore the one garment they didn't cast lots for. It was woven from top to bottom, one piece, which is an interesting concept. They just figured out how to do that, but when they got computers, how can you possibly do a one-piece garment? But they did. Anyway, but that's what I heard anyway. So they would actually tore up part of his clothing into 4 pieces and were casting lots of who gets it. So I would say, I don't think there's much question on that. It's flipping a coin or throwing dice or drawing a card. Some method of using an inanimate object to make a final decision. They do that when they start a football game. Flip the coin. Who goes first? We still do that today. Okay?
All right. No, thank you very much. The next question has to deal with new wine in old wineskins, and what's the meaning of that? What are we to take when we read that? What is a bigger lesson?
Well, as grape juice ferments, it produces gases and expands, and if you put new grape juice in a new animal skin to hold it as a bottle, which they would then use it as a bottle, it is not a problem. They age together. But if you put, because the skin itself is going to shrink or expand or take a certain shape and then harden up. If you put, there was a little booklet, I had it in my locker in New Hampshire. It talked about, and because it had the word wine in the title, it had nothing to do with alcoholic wine. It was how that they used to take grape juice, boil it down to grape syrup, and store it for hundreds of years. And then you could just simply add water and make grape juice again. They got it. I think it was called DIBS, D-I-B-S or D-I-B-B-S, was the concentrated grape syrup that could be stored without fermenting for a long time, like 100 years, 200 years, no problem. Then they took it out of my locker and threw it away. They said, Hovind's making wine or something like that, which had nothing to do with it. It's just a little booklet that fit in your shirt pocket, 40, 50 pages about the topic of biblical wine and how Jesus could not have made alcoholic wine. But he went in that booklet, which was published 1983. I don't remember even the author's name now, but I want to get another one, that's for sure. He dealt with that topic about how it's the expansion, the gases produced from fermentation cause the bottle to split. So if you put new wine, i.e. new grape juice, in an old bottle, as the new grape juice ferments or changes, it'll split the old bottle. So that's a simple physical reaction, I think, is all to be taught from that story. Okay? Okay,
no, but is there do you think there's some sort of bigger parable that we should be taking away about mixing Old Testament law with what the New Testament has to say? I've heard so many different levels of thought on that, and I don't really have an opinion. Did we just get our 60-second warning?
Plenty of sermons on that.
Okay.
Yeah, we just got our 60-second warning.
Yep.
And there's guys waiting, so I'll
Okay.
get off the phone here. I'll call you later.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of illustrations can be taken from that. The physical fact is, you put new wine in an old bottle, it will break it, at least the types of bottles they have. That's a physical fact. Now, the spiritual lessons from there are probably all kinds of things, and there's probably been sermons preached on that aren't even true.
Yeah. Yep. Amen.
That happens all the time, too.
Amen.
Thank you, brother. Get some more questions together. I'll call you later this afternoon.
It sounds good. We're praying for you. God bless you.
Thank you, brother. All right, bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. All right, that was Pastor Hovind. And hey, guys, I need more Bible questions. ruddavis@yahoo.com. Call in with your testimony. And if you want Ken Hovind to hear your testimony about what his ministry has done in your life, I can play it for him. 972-839-9848. And hope you guys are having a great weekend this Easter weekend.